April the 24th. Lake level is about 915 and a half, pretty much the same place it's been since the first of the year. I mean, it hadn't moved very much. Water temperature is pretty consistent now, finally. It's at least about 60 degrees wherever you put in the morning, and I've seen, a lot of mid 60s throughout the day. If you like to bed fish, Table Rock's the place you need to be right now. There are fish on beds absolutely everywhere. They're in the flat gravel pockets, they're in behind docks, out in front of docks, on the steeper banks. They're absolutely everywhere. They've really come in hard. And the water clarity, especially like the Dam, Kimbling City, Baxter area, I've seen beds in 16, 18 foot of water. I mean, the water clarity, you can see the bottom 18 to 20 foot of water, or 18 to 20 foot deep in a lot of places. Extremely clear. So if a person gets the right day and you like to bed fish, it'll be awesome right now. Now, other than that, I'm finding if you're in the areas where the bedding fish are, they're pretty tough to catch because they've only got one thing on their mind right now. And the most consistent thing for me in those areas has been a Ned rig, and I've been throwing a couple different colors, just like a green pumpkin or a Bomacraw Zero, and I'm fishing them on a 5-fish lures, ultimate Ned head. A lot of other things that'll work in the same areas, a shaky head. And I've got this shaky head I use, Crocker Gator makes. It's a good it's got a real nice hook in it. It really works good. But I've been throwing like a Zoom finesse worm, either watermelon red or California color, which is a little bit darker. But it seems like without any wind, you got to fish extremely slow if you're in them spawning areas, and I've been able to catch them on a fluke in there as well. Now, it's like night and day when you get a little bit of wind. You get a little bit of breeze, like I said, the water is so clear that it's hard to trick these fish into biting without a little breeze. But if the breeze picks up, you can catch them on a jerkbait still on the main lake, secondary points. And something that's been going on the last couple days, and we caught them all day long today on it. Naturally it's overcast, a little bit of breeze, but a topwater. Caught them on the main lake and a lot of secondary points. And also, you can throw them over where these fish are bedding and pull some fish up off the beds. And what I've been throwing for a topwater, it seems to be working the best, is you have to throw it pretty slow, but like a jointed redfin, or this particular bait here is a Storm jointed thunderstick. But a cotton cordell redfin will work as well. Also, I've been catching them on a walking bait, and what I've been throwing on a walking bait is it's a Strike King Sexy Dog, which is kind of similar to a spook. And I think the reason these baits are working better versus like a buzz bait or a whopper plopper, a lot of the fish that are coming up on them, they're not actually, blowing it up out of the water just yet. I think that water needs to get a little bit warmer. They're just kind of coming up behind it and sucking it in, and they may hit it 2 or 3 times before they actually get it. It's where that walking bait, you can kind of keep it in the same area, working it side to side without pulling it away from the fish. And the same thing with the redfin, you just got to work it real slow. But one thing I found, if there's a couple of you fishing, if you get one that comes up and starts swatting at your bait, if you've got a fluke, and what I've been throwing there is a caffeine shad, but a Zoom Super Fluke will work as well. But just throw that fluke right behind or right around where that fish is swatting on that topwater bait, and they seem to be getting a hold of the fluke a lot better than they are hard bait. But, we probably caught 20 fish today on a redfin and the Sexy Dog. And we caught, like I say, we caught more of them on like bluff ends, submerged cedar trees, the same place you'd throw a jerkbait or an Alabama rig. And some of these fish out there, and this is just going to get better and better, especially as clear as the water is, we should have a phenomenal topwater bite this year. But as more fish get done spawning and get back out there and rest, there'll be more numbers of fish, and then in a few weeks, the shad will start to spawn when that water reaches up about 70 degrees. It's going to make that topwater bite, even better. Now, I've kind of been all over the lake. There seems to be a little more, the fish seem to be a little further along up into James. I've seen a lot of bass fry up there, which tells me that a lot of fish, have already spawned, but I still think there's a lot more coming. I think we're going to have fish on beds. Depends on how warm it gets, but probably for the next 3 weeks at least, we'll have some fish on beds. But another thing that's starting to work a little bit, I can't get too many bites on these things, but on a lot of the main lake and secondary points, places where the fish are going to be going to after they spawn, I've been able to catch some on a Carolina rig. This is a pig sticker, pig rig, which is like a biffle hardhead that LaRue makes. And I've been throwing several different baits on it. The bait I've got on it here is a Zoom Speed Craw. I've also been throwing a game hog, which is like a baby brush hog. Strike King makes it. And I've been throwing it either on a Carolina rig, and I've also been putting this bait on here as well. Another bait that'll work is a Magnum trick worm. And I've got that one in a California craw color. Now where I'm fishing this is I'm setting the boat about 25 foot, fishing a lot of these long run outs and gravel points. It's areas that there's still some fish coming in, but it seems like the fish I'm catching out there have already spawned, and that'll just get better, like I say, as next couple of weeks as more fish get done spawning. Right now it seems to be a 1 or 2 bites and you're done. You might have to hit 3 or 4 points and not get a bite, but then you'll get on one. I'm not catching, like I say, very many out there, but there are a few, and every day that should get a little better. Seems like from the Kimberling City area to the dam, a lot of the fish I'm catching on the Ned rig are smallmouth. And there's some really good smallmouths, 17, 18 inch long smallmouths, but you gotta fish it dead slow, and I'm fishing it anywhere from 5 feet out to about 15 foot. And that green pumpkin or that bomber cross seems to be working good. On the steeper banks, especially where you got ledge rock on them, even on some of the main lake, but preferably where a channel swings in or out. I've been able to catch some fish out there on a fluke and a Senko as well. I'm just, wacky rigging a Senko. There's so many things that the fish are biting right now, and it's going to continue to bite for the next 2 or 3 weeks. It's kind of almost a deal with whatever you've got the most confidence in. But as far as where the fish are bedding, I think the bite is going to get better in there in the next few weeks when more fish get done spawning. The Ned rig, split shot rig, finesse, your light line stuff should get a lot better. Now, I haven't been catching a ton of fish on a little Kitech or a swim bait, off some of them gravel points and flats. We are catching some, but it's kind of like the bottom bite out there. You'll catch 2 or 3, and without wind, they seem to be pretty hard to catch. And they seem to be biting a little Kitech, let's see if I got one handy, a little bit better without an underspin on it. Some of the places the water's so clear, I'm not so sure that flash from the blade is almost too much. Just a little 4-inch grub, a smoke, seems to be working just as good, if not better, than the Kitech. Another thing to throw is we're catching some fish on a tube. Either a green pumpkin, this one here is a watermelon candy. Another one we throw quite a bit it's called, it's like a puke color. It's almost like a mustard color. That's working as well in the same areas we throw the jig or the wobblehead, and also up around the spawning areas. Most of the moss is kind of cleared out. Some areas have still got it, and it seems like if you bump up around trees, you'll get mossed up quite a bit. But for the most part, you can fish the bottom just about any place on the lake without fighting the moss too bad. So look for that topwater. If it's cloudy, especially if we got clouds and a little bit of wind, I'd keep that topwater bait in your hand. We caught a lot of fish on it today. When it gets real slick and sunny, you probably catch them on the morning, but it seems to be difficult without a breeze or a little bit of cloud cover. But till next week, good luck, good fishing.